Aarav Kapoor was known as the son of one of the richest businessmen in Mumbai. Private school, chauffeured cars, birthday cakes bigger than dinner tables, a life curated by money and image. But what no one knew, not even him, was that the woman who quietly swept the corners of his mansion, the one called Rukmini Bai by everyone, was not just a maid. She was his real mother. He didn't remember her as anyone special. To him, she was just one of the dozens of workers around the house, silent, old, always in a faded green sari. She never interrupted, never spoke unless spoken to, but she was always there in the background, present like a shadow, watching, listening, especially when he smiled. Aarav grew up with all the luxuries a child could dream of, yet he often felt something was missing, something he couldn't name. His relationship with his mother, the glamorous and emotionally distant Mrs. Kapoor, was cold, polite and rehearsed. She attended parent-teacher meetings but never tucked him in, bought him expensive toys but never hugged him tight. When he fell sick, it wasn't her, but Rukmini Bai who placed a wet cloth on his forehead without saying a word. He remembered her once placing a small laddu on his table on his 10th birthday. "Happy birthday, Baba," she whispered. He nodded, confused why a maid would remember or even care. It wasn't until he turned 18 that everything began to unravel. Aarav had gotten into a heated argument with Mrs. Kapoor. She told him to dress a certain way for a formal dinner, and he snapped, "I'm not like you. I don't feel like I even belong in this house," he yelled. She slapped him without hesitation. "You should be grateful we gave you a life others can only dream of." Those words echoed in his ears all night. That's when he heard a knock on his door. It was Rukmini Bai. She stood there holding a small tin box, her hands shaking. "Can I sit?" she asked. He nodded. She opened the box slowly. Inside were faded photographs, a child's hospital wristband, a woman's Mangal Sutra, and a neatly folded letter. "This is yours," she said. "I wasn't supposed to show you, but I can't watch you hate yourself for something you never understood." The letter was from a woman named Meera, a goodbye letter. "My dear son," it began, "forgive me. I don't have the strength to fight this world anymore, but know this, I never gave you away out of choice." Aarav froze. Who is Meera?" he asked. Rukmini looked down, her voice barely a whisper. "She is me." Aarav blinked, his breath caught. She continued, "Your father died in an accident. I had nothing, no money, no family support. His relatives said I wasn't fit to raise you. They said I was cursed, so they adopted you and gave me a job, here, in the same house as a maid, just so I could watch you grow, but never call you mine." The room started spinning. Aarav struggled to breathe. This woman, the one he had passed by for years without a second glance, the one who had polished his shoes, swept the floor beneath his feet, and folded his laundry in silence, was his mother. "I watched your first steps from the kitchen doorway," she said, her eyes brimming. "When you fell sick, I stayed up all night outside your room, just to hear your breathing. When you called someone else Ma, I bit my tongue so I wouldn't scream. Every year I made laddus on your birthday, but placed them quietly so no one would notice." Aarav fell to his knees. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, voice cracking. "Because they would have taken me away," she replied, "and I didn't want to be far. I just wanted to be near you, even if it meant watching from the shadows." He sobbed. Loud and helpless, he held her hand, the same hand that had wiped his spilled milk, packed his school bag, and held on to broken dreams for 18 long years. For the first time in his life, he hugged her. It wasn't soft, it was desperate. A hug that tried to make up for the lost lullabies, the bedtime stories that were never told, the scraped knees that were never kissed. The next morning, she was gone. Her room was empty, her uniforms folded, the tin box left behind, on top of it a note. Now that you know my heart is full, don't look for me. Let this truth be enough. Walk with pride, my son, for I was always near. He searched, called every relative, checked every shelter. Nothing. It was as if she vanished into thin air. Years passed. Aarav inherited the empire, became a businessman his father would have admired. But no matter where he went, every house felt too big, every chair too empty. Every year on his birthday, he placed an extra chair beside him, empty, reserved, just in case she ever walked in again. He started a trust, named it the Mirror Foundation, for women who had lost everything, so they'd never have to live in silence again. And in the largest room of the mansion, right beside the family portraits, he placed a single frame. Inside it, an old hospital tag, a faded photo of a woman in a green sari, and a receipt for ladoos. Because sometimes, the richest thing a man owns is the truth he almost never found. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone you love. Maybe it'll help them, and if you believe stories like these deserve to be heard, please like, comment, and subscribe to Life Lessons Library. Your one click keeps these stories alive.